Well, hello again, everybody. Today is Monday, the 19th of April. Welcome back to the Keep Boone Healthy Community Information Channel. I am David Jackson, President and CEO of the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce, joined once again by Watauga County School Superintendent Dr. Scott Elliott. No stranger to the program. Always glad to have you here, sir. I know that school operations continue to move at a robust clip. We are coming down the home stretch of this academic year, and to get to this point means a lot of hard work has gone into the process to not only get schools open, but keep them open and running and students thriving. So start all this by saying hats off to you and your team for making all of this happen. I know it's been a year that we'll never forget, but for positive reasons as well as some of the challenges that we've gone through as well. So maybe we can just kind of start there. If you can kind of give us an understanding of how the transition to Plan A has been. We've been a few weeks into this now where we've seen some of the middle school and high school students coming back to school on a little bit more normal calendar. How has that impacted Watauga County schools thus far?
Good to see you, David. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, it's incredible that we're sitting here talking about the end of the school year being just a few weeks away, and all of the excitement and normal mixed feelings that come with a school year. And hopefully we're providing our students with as normal a school experience as we possibly can as we wrap up this school year. Our return to Plan A, in my opinion, has been a very positive one. There was rightfully so, a lot of concern or angst or anxiety around bringing all of our students back together for the first time in 12 months since March of last year. But we always said all along that when we felt that it was safe to do so, we wanted to have our students be in school as much as possible. Maybe it's gone smoothly because we also put in a lot of hard work, and we drew from the lessons learned over the last 12 months about our safety procedures and screening protocols and what we understand about the virus. And we also believe that the vaccines that we've seen our staff and our students receiving over the last couple of months certainly also attributed to our ability to be in school and be in school successfully. I would say if there's any possible downside to the return on Plan A is that, it's a double-edged sword. We've learned lessons about our health and safety protocols, our screening procedures, and the importance of excluding children who are sick. So as we bring students back to school under Plan A, which is minimal or no social distancing, it doesn't change the rules from the CDC or the state Department of Health and Human Services around what constitutes a close contact. So as we bring more students back to school, we also increase the risk that more students are going to be close contacts and have to be back at home under quarantine. And in fact, we've already seen this happen a few times since we began on Plan A. But we don't believe that necessarily means an increase in the risk of secondary transmission in school, which we haven't seen through classroom close contacts. But it does mean that we run the risk of that level of disruption. Otherwise, it's been great to see students all back together, teachers revising their lesson plans and pacing guides and being able to pick up the pace of instruction for the remainder of the year, helping students who've gotten behind and getting them caught up. And then just the normalcy and the routine for our youngsters that really they've been missing for the last 12 months. So it's been great.
You mentioned vaccine a moment ago as one of the things that you felt like was allowing for that transition to move a little bit better, and that's adults getting their vaccinations. Now some students being able to get that, and there's actually an effort to get more students and their families available for vaccine deployment here. Can you tell us a little bit about the clinic that will be coming up at Watauga High School?
Yes, my thanks to App Healthcare, Jen Green, our local health department director, and our other community partners, in this case, Boone Drug and Samaritan's Purse, who are coming together to facilitate vaccine clinics all across our community. We said that when we had the opportunity to do so, that we would offer vaccines for our students at school. We now have the Pfizer vaccine, which is approved for youngsters age 16 and older. So Boone Drug, Samaritan's Purse, and App Healthcare are coming together to help us to sponsor a clinic for our students this coming Wednesday, 2 days from now as we're recording this, from 9 to 12. There is a registration form on the Boone Drug website. Also, all of our students and parents at the high school received an email from your school counselors with a sign-up link, but I'm suspecting we'll also welcome walk-up folks. What will be special about this event is that the vaccines will be available not just for the students themselves, but also for their parents. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, we have vaccines now, and as we are vaccinating, or as our community is vaccinating more and more folks, we have more vaccine available for folks who need it. So we're encouraging everyone possible to get it. But second is, based on the trends that we're seeing about how this virus is transmitted in our community and the way that it has been impacting our schools. So just a little bit of context, our school staff began receiving their vaccines in the third week of February, and were fully vaccinated or received their second vaccine in the third week of March, and by early April, we're fully vaccinated. Over the last 9 weeks, I think we've had each week no more than 2 or 3 staff members, and in many weeks no staff members who've tested positive. At the same time, over the last 9 weeks, our student numbers have been in the single digits, which both of those are significant declines from the patterns that we had been seeing. Now, is that because the virus is on the decline? Perhaps so. Is it because we're continuing to be diligent with all of our masking and safety procedures? Certainly. But I think that the vaccines have a lot to do with it. And last, about that parent-student school relationship, the vast majority of cases that we see among our students are cases where they receive the virus from a family member, usually a parent. As we've said in this program before, it's just the way it is when we're at home. We don't mask, we don't social distance. And when one member of the family gets sick, they all do. So, I'm saying now the best thing we can possibly do to help keep our schools open and students in school and avoiding those quarantines that we mentioned earlier is for the adults to get the vaccine.
Well, and we'll put the information again that Dr. Elliott just mentioned about, or just looking for that information. We'll make sure that that's available within the context of this as well. Tell us a little bit, as long as we're talking Watauga High School graduation coming up. You had to put together a very different graduation ceremony last year. How does that look here for 2021?
Still different, more normal, but not quite the same. How about that as the theme for 2021? Yes, so we've so much enjoyed in years past using the Appalachian State University's Convocation Center, where we have plenty of space for our students and an unlimited capacity for guests and visitors and family members. Last year, we were not able to have an in-person traditional graduation. We did a car line drive-through, and it was a lot of fun. It was very different and sort of befitting for 2020. This year, with the state's executive or the governor's executive orders loosening up capacity and gathering limits, we've decided to have a graduation ceremony again. We're not going to be back at the Convocation Center because the guidelines from the state that the university are following would require us to have multiple graduation ceremonies, just like the university is doing. When we asked our students through a survey and working with our student representatives to the Board of Education and student councils, the response was fairly unanimous. They wanted to have as normal a graduation ceremony as possible and all be together for one last time. So what that means is we're going old school, and we will be having a graduation on Friday, May the 28th in the Watauga High School Jack Gross Stadium. They're the main stadium at the high school. Unfortunately, based on those governor's executive orders, we will be limited in the number of guests that are allowed to come. Each student, as of right now, unless those executive orders change, will be allowed to bring 4 guests with them. We wish that it was more. We wish that every sibling, grandma, grandpa, and parent could come, but it's just still the way that it is right now. And that was a choice that we made based on student feedback to have one single ceremony. It will mean that we are seated on both sides of the stadium, spread out. Everyone will absolutely be required to wear masks and sit together with their family members, but it will be a chance for those students to have something as close to normal as possible that they haven't had for a year and a half now. Everyone keep their weather fingers crossed for 5 p.m. on the 28th. But if we need rain dates, we will look at the next morning, the Saturday at 10 a.m., that afternoon at 2 p.m., and the following Sunday at 2 p.m. And we'll just keep going until we get good enough weather to have our graduation.
Hey, I just want to know how you're going to set families up on the home side or the visitor side. Is there a particular algorithm for that?
Everyone will be on the home team that night.
That's awesome. Awesome. Speaking of things that have come out of this, this change for good, I guess you can say, one of those from the school system's perspective, certainly the establishment of the Watauga Virtual Academy. What does that look like moving into next year? And will that be something that is with the school system from here forward now?
That's a great example, David. There are many lessons learned from this past year that the pandemic has affected families and students in so many different ways, positively, negatively, or in ways that we never would have anticipated. I never would have anticipated 2 years ago that we would be talking about a permanent virtual academy where students are enrolled in our school system, but who receive most or all of their instruction online. We had 600 students at some point or another this year who received their education through the all remote Watauga Virtual Academy. I'm not talking about being all remote, but eventually going back to Mabel School or Valley Crucis or something like we are now. But family members who thought that it was in their best interest for their children to receive an all remote education. Well, we were pleased and surprised to find that there were families that actually came to us. Maybe they previously were homeschooled or had been in a charter school or in another school district, and they wanted and needed that level of flexibility. I've also been surprised but pleased by the number of families who used to be with us in a brick and mortar school, went to the virtual academy, maybe because of their health and safety around COVID, but who now found that way of facilitating schooling for their children really works for their families. Maybe parents travel for their work, or they have the flexibility to travel throughout the school year, or maybe there's just something socially or otherwise that about this that just works for them, educationally, that just works for them. So we have put out a survey. We have about 300 families who've told us that they're at least interested in the Watauga Virtual Academy. We're going ahead right now and beginning to interview and hire the teachers for that so that we're going to give it a go and see if it works. I would encourage parents to be on the lookout later this week for the application that will come out for the Virtual Academy. And we'll be making plans both in the regular traditional schools and in our virtual academy based on the number of students who enroll. I wish that I could guarantee that it will be an option for everyone. And the more students we have enrolled, the more likely it will be to occur. But if we end up with, one or two students or small numbers of students in any grade level, we might not be able to offer a specific grade level. But we're going to try to offer this K-8 in the Watauga Virtual Academy. And then students in the high school can work with the school counselors and the administrators at the Watauga High School if they also want an all virtual full-time remote education. I'm really intrigued by this. I'm really interested to see how it works. And it seems like if we're going to give it a go and see if this is an opportunity that we can provide to our local families, now's the time to do it. I would invite any families to give us a call. Maybe you've never been in our school system before. Maybe you're homeschooling and looking for a good quality curriculum or relationship with our teachers, but still have the flexibility to do what you do. Give us a call and give it a try. And again, that application will be coming out later this week.
Excellent resource for sure. And speaking about registration at the smallest level, both from a figurative and literal standpoint, we're in the process right now where we see across the county kindergarten orientation and registration starting. What information would you like to share about that? And I guess one kind of sidebar question to that, how has all of this played on your enrollment overall? Have you seen pretty much same number or still a steady increase in enrollment and interest in Watauga County schools, despite all the COVID stuff that you've had to do?
Well, right now, I would say that enrollment is strong. We have had a very good response to kindergarten registration for the coming year, and kindergarten orientations began this week and will be going on. It's not too late to register for kindergarten. We know that we had families last year who chose to sit out a year of kindergarten and who may be bringing their children with us to first grade for the first time, or maybe they chose based on their birth dates to have them just wait and have kindergarten this year. So those numbers are looking good, but now's the time. If a family is out there and has a child that you are considering enrolling in our schools for next year, we just ask you to come to your local school and get that registration packet and do that as soon as possible. Our overall enrollment, just like all across North Carolina, our enrollment dropped by about 200 students last year, and that was families making other choices about private school or homeschool or just transferring. Throughout the year, we fully anticipate those numbers to rebound and be back to relatively normal. And again, looking at that strong interest in our virtual academy and looking at our kindergarten registration numbers, we're looking forward to seeing some regular class sizes and kids back in school next year.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time as always, and the deep insight to how everything is going with Watauga County Schools. Now we know again that you and your staff have put countless hours of time, thought, and energy into this. And as we get ready to come down the home stretch here, for speaking on behalf of parents who have had kids in school this year, we certainly appreciate everything that's been done to make that as normal of a circumstance and experience for them as possible. And it has been great to see their just renewed sense of enthusiasm, seeing other people again. We definitely know that means a lot. So appreciate all of that and your time, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, David.